We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
In studio after what was yet another W in trivia. We can't lose. In this one, Quinn, we have a special treat for you here. In this one, they asked us 2 2021 NFL draft questions. And we're cleaning up. No wonder we won. We won by like 4 points, which is kind of absurd. Normally, it's like a 2-3 point margin of victory, or even one.
And the person who was asking the question act like they had just found out what the NFL draft was.
True. They were explaining
it's
what
where players come into the NFL, and that's when people first find out about them. I'm like, this is actually my job.
Question 1, Mike Quinn. Yeah. Quinn wasn't with us, by the way. Question 1. I'm going to give you 3 names in the 2021 NFL draft, and you're going to have to tell me if they're actually people, actually real names in the 2021 NFL draft. The first one they gave us, Kendrick. True or false? Real or fake?
Kendrick, first name, Kendrick, last name?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's false.
Okay, good. He's 1 for 1. Next one, Whop Philyor.
Whop Philyor is from Indiana. That is a real person. Although his legal name is not Whop.
I know.
Yeah. So I don't know if you get a bonus point for that or what.
You're right. Last one. Rashad Wildgoose.
No, there's a couple Rashads not. Actually, yes. He is. He is. I did know that. He's from do I get a bonus point if I can name the school?
Absolutely.
Ohio State.
Nebraska.
No,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
You don't even know. I was thinking of Red Team.
I knew Big Ten. I knew it was in the Big Ten. Yep.
And then the last question, the bonus one they have for us is how many picks within 20? How many picks are in the 2021 NFL draft?
254.
Not bad. You're within 20. It was 259.
259, but I contend that it should have been 257 because 2 of them got forfeited. So
you hate to see it.
Hate to see it.
All right, let's get into it, sir.
We got those correct.
Yeah, we won.
Yeah,
we slaughtered.
Yeah, that's pretty easy trivia. I don't know what kind of easy mode trivia you guys are playing on over there.
Well, I mean, we won, so obviously the other people attending didn't feel the same way.
Very true. Easy mode trivia. That's a band name or something. Let's talk about the Sam Darnold trade. Sam Darnold, Carolina Panthers pulled a trigger. They trade a 2021 second round pick.
No,
2021
6th round swap, and then 2022 second and a 4th.
Yep. 2021 6th round swap, 2022 second round pick, and a 2022 4th round pick.
Gotta get that 6th round swap.
You have to. When you can, you have to. What's your initial reaction to this trade?
Desperation. What I say, desperation stinks. It stinks. It's awful. They put themselves in this position with the Teddy Bridgewater signing.
Yes.
They put themselves in that position where you went for a quarterback who doesn't have the high end in him, has never had it. He's shown he can play in the NFL. He showed that last year with the Carolina Panthers. He was fine, but you don't have a roster that's close to competing with a fine quarterback. And now Darnold, maybe he couldn't be higher than that. Like at USC, his tape was, better than Teddy Bridgewater's at Louisville. There were more of that high end that you chase on his tape there. But again, in the NFL, he's never shown that. And so my 2 biggest takeaways: 1, super massive desperation on the part of the Carolina Panthers. And obviously the Falcons have told them, no, you're not getting up to 4. I'm guessing that means that they don't then on whoever they think the 5th quarterback is going to be off the board in this draft, they're not willing to make them that guy their guy. And so that's why they went with the Darnold route. But I hate it from that perspective. The other perspective, though, is, man, draft quarterbacks high, especially quarterbacks that other people are high on.
Yes. So I tweeted that out. I said, if there's anything that you've learned this offseason with Carson Wentz getting traded for a potential 1st round pick, Sam Darnold for a 2nd, a few years ago, Josh Rosen for a 2nd round and a 5th round pick, draft quarterbacks that teams view highly. Someone's like, well, what about the Jordan Love pick? That wasn't a quarterback that teams viewed highly. He got drafted like in the late 20s.
And even then, though, like I said, that was their best pick that year because he shows anything.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, like drafting a guy with that level of like traits, he shows anything. Someone's going to be like, well, I'll trade up.
He could be Jimmy G. And Jimmy G was traded for a second round pick. So I do think that, draft quarterbacks that are ranked highly among the consensus. Like, there are 5 quarterbacks right now that are rumored to go in the top 10. Yeah. Draft one. I said this about the Cincinnati Bengals, too. It's like, and I know Quinn's maybe going to attest to this, but like, if there is a quarterback at 5, trade down or take him because it's just too much. It's too much value right there because what you could have at that quarterback position, again, is just too valuable because you also have the hit rate of like, this guy could be really damn good. Like, people are like, oh, drafting a player, avoiding a future Hall of Famer in Penei Sewell to draft a guy that could be a second-round pick. It's like, no, he also could be a damn good quarterback at the most important position in the NFL. So I think it's very interesting. I think my initial reactions were great business by the Jets. Yeah. Get out of Sam Darnold, commit to a quarterback at number 2 overall, whether that's Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, whoever you think the second best quarterback in this class is, commit to him at 2 and get the most value you can for Sam Darnold. They did. Second round pick, that is fantastic business for the New York Jets. For Carolina, desperation was the first word I thought of as well. This is a bet on Sam Darnold, the 23-year-old Sam Darnold, and a $23 million guaranteed contract over the next 2 years. That he can take that 4th-year leap, that a year away from Adam Gase, he can be something that everyone thought he could be coming out of USC with Joe Brady. My take is I love the bet. I just don't love the unit size necessarily. Like they bet a lot. They put a lot of chips in here with a second-round pick and all that money when maybe I do like the bet on, moving up to 5 or trying to get the 5th best quarterback in this class over Sam Darnold because people are comparing the ages, and I think you brought this up. It's like, okay, but you could go get Mac Jones, you could go get Trey Lance. They're similar ages. It's not the ages, it's the contracts. You're going to get 4 years with a 5th-year option of a rookie quarterback if you draft him inside the top 5, top 8, or whatever it may be. With Sam Darnold, you have 2 years. And after this year, he's going to be looking for a contract extension if he takes that leap you want him to. And paying Sam Darnold on that second contract, market rate, where likely he'll be, if he does improve, a top 10, top 12 paid quarterback, that's the scary part. That's the ROI that will scare you. And I do think that that's where the Carolina Panthers are right now.
Yeah, they had Matt Rule, they gave him like a big deal last year. Like they kind of gave him carte blanche. Like he was never going to be a one and done, two and done sort of head coach with how highly coveted he was within that organization. And they're playing their cards like they can't bottom out sort of thing. Like they can't they're playing it just too safe almost, where it's like we're trying to go 8-8 instead of trying to win a Super Bowl. And obviously Scott Fitter, you got a new GM there. That's your first move as GM, is to go for Sam Darnold. He could be fine. It would defy all, like he would be the outlier in quarterback development.
He'd be a bigger outlier than Josh Allen.
Yes, at this point in his career. He could, but he would be a massive outlier. And before we point to Tannehill, like Tannehill had good years prior to then his breakout in Tennessee, but then he obviously bottomed out in Miami by the end of it with injuries and whatnot.
I also think the untold thing about Ryan Tannehill is that, or not untold, but a big factor in that is that offense, that offense really caters to his strengths. They run a shitload of play action, and they have obviously they lean on Derrick Henry, lean on stuff after the catch. Like it is built for Tannehill to have success, built for him to have success. Is Joe Brady going to be able to do that for Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold isn't Joe Burrow. Sam Darnold's not even Teddy Bridgewater. This is a completely different type of quarterback. Consistently inaccurate, the most inaccurate quarterback in the NFL over the past 3 years. That's not Joe Burrow, and that's not Teddy B. Yeah. Teddy B is accurate, but not a risk taker. Doesn't have that high end. Everyone loves the sexy throws Sam Darnold can do, but where's the down-to-down accuracy? It hasn't been there, and I don't think Joe Brady's going to get it out of him unless this offense really does cater to his strengths, which I don't know what that looks like. What is an offense that caters to Sam Darnold's strengths? I don't know. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be very interesting. I got
a question for you guys now. Sam Darnold or Andy Dalton?
Ooh, Darnold. You know what Andy Dalton is.
At least Andy Dalton, the problem with Dalton is he's not a roller coaster. You know what you're getting, and it's going to be kind of eh. With Sam Darnold, at least he could be completely garbage and put you in a position to get Spencer Rattler, or he could get this high side of variance and be like a guy, that gets you 9-10 wins.
Yeah, it's like Andy Dalton's been better than Darnold. I wouldn't even debate that.
Yeah.
Like, when they've been on the football field, Dalton has been the better quarterback, but Dalton's in his 30s and has never been a quarterback that can lead you anywhere close to.
I also had this take on a radio hit right after the Sam Darnold trade went through. The worst quarterback in the NFL is a good one. You need a bad one to get you to a prospect, or a great one to get you deep in the postseason. A good quarterback like Dalton, like Kirk Cousins, like Derek Carr, like Jimmy G, like Teddy B. A good quarterback, one of the top 20 starters or whatever, is not going to get you in a good position to win.
You can, though. You just have to know where you're at as a roster. Are you, like if Teddy Bridgewater was on the Bears back in 2018.
Or the Saints, like when he won 5 games.
Like when you have all around one of the top 3 or 4 rosters in the NFL, offensively, defensively, that guy could still get you to a Super Bowl. Win a Super Bowl, possibly. I mean, Jimmy G was one throw away.
But is that the goal?
I'm just saying, it's not the goal. But if that's where you're at as a roster, then you can make that move.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue it, because there is still that desperation play. There is not still enough quarterback talent to go around for everybody.
I do think that, okay, so I'm going to re-clarify. If your goal is to win a Super Bowl, then there's a lot of ways to win a Super Bowl. You can get a good quarterback, build a good roster, do the Jimmy G situation where they go all the way to the Super Bowl and then narrowly miss winning that football game. You can do that. However, if your goal is to consistently win Super Bowls or consistently be competing for Super Bowls, you need a great QB. You need an Aaron Rodgers, you need a Tom Brady, you need a Peyton Manning, Drew Brees. You need one of those guys at the top of the game. And I don't want any of those other guys.
I do think the interesting thing here, though, in this conversation, to now move on from Sam Darnold trade, could they still go quarterback?
Yes.
Because I would actually like this trade then if they still get a Trey Lance. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this is actually, their approach is, in my opinion, the correct approach, which is darts. In darts, you get 3 darts.
Yes.
This would be their third. Like, you take as many shots at the quarterback position. The Seahawks drafted Russell Wilson right after they signed Matt Flynn. If that's what your approach is here, learning from the fact that, like, you need a guy to win the NFL. You just saw that last year with Teddy Bridgewater. Take all the opportunities given, whether it's trade, free agency, draft. Explore every avenue until you know for sure you got that guy. If they do still draft a quarterback, I'll change my tune completely. I'll say, oh, I'm all in on this move.
Would you trade up to go get a quarterback, though, at this point?
At this point, you're really costing yourself capital. But if
say the Bengals at 5.
If Lance is available at 5, I'd be down.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think it would be tough to go up. I'm definitely all for them taking another quarterback, especially if a Fields or Lance falls to 8, which if you look at later, like some of the latest mock drafts from some of these guys, like Todd McShay, Daniel Jeremiah, you're seeing a Lance or a Fields fall as far as 8, which I think would be absolutely criminal for the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots to let that happen. If you let a Fields or a Lance fall to the Panthers at 8, that's on you. You should be looking to trade up with Detroit, Miami at 6, or Bengals at 5, or Atlanta at 4. If Denver goes into the 2021 NFL season with Drew Lock as their starter, Brett Rippon as their backup, in a class,
trade up to 4. They're going to trade up.
That's what I'm saying. But if they don't, if Carolina's sitting there like, oh wow, we can still get Lance or Fields, absolutely, you turn the card in with another quarterback because you need to continue to take darts. And if you think if you were a Sam Darnold away from solving the quarterback position on your team, you're wrong. If you think that as a GM, you're wrong. So definitely interested to see what the Carolina Panthers do. I definitely think it shakes things up.
What a draft, though, man. This year's top 10 is going to be
insanity.
Fucking amazing.
Insanity,
I love it,
man. I mean, I do think that 5 quarterbacks go inside the top 7 picks. I think 5 quarterbacks go in the top 7.
Record breaking.
That would be sick. And I do think that if they don't, Carolina needs to take a quarterback. Absolutely needs to take a quarterback. All right, let's go ahead and jump now to the meat of the podcast today. Winners and losers from pro days. Before we start, your overall thought on pro day measurables, pro day times, all that type of stuff. It's a polarizing topic. Some people want to completely throw them out the window. Some people want to take them in wholeheartedly. What is your take?
So my thing is, if their jumps don't match the testing, or like if they blaze a 4.3 and then they jump in 32 inches and have a 10-foot broad jump, it's like that something doesn't add up there. So I put more stock in the jumps. Those are harder to fake. I mean, it should feasibly be impossible to fake those jumps based off of, they're actually hitting measured numbers and not necessarily a stopwatch. But I do think there is still, on the outlier ends on both sides, there's some value to these.
Fair enough.
So that's why these guys should actually, on both sides, like I said, these should be impactful numbers to your stock on these players, unless you were rightfully or low or high on either of them before.
Let's start with the biggest winner.
Biggest winner.
Jason Oweh, Penn State edge defender, turned in what you've called one of the most freaky athletic pro days we've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a number in this that isn't holy shit worthy. He 4.39 forward. So first off, a shade under 6'5", 257 pounds with 34.5-inch arms. Built the way you'd put together a defensive end.
82-inch wing.
Absurd. 4.39 40. 39.5-inch vertical. 11.2 broad jump. The broad jump and the 40, by the way, the fastest or longest and fastest ever for a defensive lineman. 4.15 short shuttle, which insane if that, like, out of this world short shuttle, and that's not even close to his best number. 6.84 3 cone. And then 21 bench reps, which 21 bench reps, whatever, not absurd, but still very good for a defensive end. The 6.84 3 cone's the one where it's just like, this guy, all around, everything athlete. Gets you so much in the door. Like, we kind of knew it going in, but I think that just reinforces that there's not a thing about the position that isn't physically that he can't do. Just now learning football.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't played football for a long time, right? I mean, he didn't start playing football until 2016. Also, 159, 10-yard split, which anything under the 1.6s is filthy.
You're like a wide receiver at that point.
That is really impressive numbers. Where do you think he ultimately goes in the 2021 NFL draft? Do you think he has a chance to be the first edge off the board, maybe go ahead of Kwity Paye? Or if not, what range do you think he comes off the board?
That one's tough. I don't think he goes ahead of Kwity Paye because Kwity Paye didn't make this list, but that was purely because the numbers crunch and the fact that he didn't end up doing the cone and shuttle, which were supposed to be his drills. So Kwity Paye, like you said, 36 bench press reps. He absolutely just dominated his pro day, 4.57 at 261 pounds. That guy's a monster. But I don't think he goes ahead of Kwity Paye, but I do think somewhere in the early 20s, he's coming off the board. That's Indy, Cleveland.
I kind of like if Kwity Paye is off the board at 17, Las Vegas. Go get Oweh, man. What they thought Arden Key could be.
Yeah.
And then you have Oweh.
Arden Key was 234 pounds.
Yeah. Well, they wanted him to be
sub-package guy.
Yeah. You have Oweh, Yannick Ngakoue. You kick Cleveland Ferrell inside. Max Crosby can be a rotational piece. You have Maurice Hurst there. Jonathan Hankins re-signed. I mean, I started to get a little bit excited about that defensive line. Dare I get excited?
You can get excited. You're probably going to be disappointed, but you should still get excited.
Very true. All right, we're going to go winner and then a loser, and we're going to go back and forth. Loser, one of the bigger losers from his pro day, Tutu Atwell of Louisville, man. Comes in at what? 5'8", close to 5'9", 155 pounds, and only a 4.42 40-yard dash at 155 pounds. That is tied for the lightest any receiver, any player in the NFL has weighed in at a combine or pro day since 1999. 155.
Is it J.J. Nelson, the other one?
Yeah.
And like watching J.J. Nelson try to play football was like just tough. You can't do things that normal guys can do. You can't be a wide receiver.
He had a 33-inch vert, 117-inch broad, 4.14 short shuttle, and then a 6.89 3 cone, which is slower than what Jason Oweh did at 257 pounds. Yeah. Again, you need to be an absolute blur if you're 155 pounds in the NFL. Like, you need to be running a 6.4 3 cone, a sub-4 short shuttle, and 4.2s in the 40. That's where you need to be if you're going to be that light in the NFL.
Yes. Like, the 155 pounds means you cannot do normal wide receiver things. Devontae Smith has 15 pounds on him still. And Devontae Smith looks like, there's massive concerns about him and his weight. So, I mean, honestly, it could have stopped after the height weight. As soon as he weighed in, I don't know what you're going to do with that guy. Like, he is a pure gadget player at the next level, and 4.42 speed is not. If you ran runs low 4.2s, yeah, we could talk. Like, that guy's scheme-free release and that speed still can play, but that's not.
What's wild to me is we're still seeing, like, ESPN's Todd McShay has.
Friend of the pod,
recent episode, which is awesome. Yeah, you know what? A thing we didn't bring up about the Sam Darnold trade, he brought up how much he knew Carolina wanted to make an upgrade at the quarterback position. He said a stat that was in the decision makers' heads was they lost 8 games by 1 score. And like we were that close. We were quarterback winning.
And it was brutal to watch Teddy try to like
win those games.
Come back. Yeah, like him trying to lead those 2-minute drives was just dink, dink, dunk. Nothing over the top.
Yeah. All right. What I was going to say was we're still seeing Tom McShay has him in his top 40. I think Mel Kiper Jr. has him ranked ahead of Rashad Bateman. You know, like you're still seeing some of the ESPN guys are still high on Tutu Atwell. I don't see him coming off the board until day 3. Do you take a Tutu Atwell on day 2?
It'd be tough to do. I don't foresee that happening.
Because if you take him in the 2nd or 3rd round, I mean, you're investing in him. You're going to want to put him on the football field. You're going to want to scheme him targets. And I just don't know if scheming him 30 to 40 targets in your offense is the best use of those plays. So I don't know.
J.J. Nelson, the closest comp, perfect comp also, by the way, 2015, he was the 5th round pick. He also, though, ran a 4.28 at the combine.
Yeah.
Had a 10.7 broad and a 36-inch vertical. Definitely better explosive numbers. But he was 5'10", 156. He had a 1.49-10 split. Oof. That guy was lightning.
Yeah.
That was fun for like a year in Bruce Arians' offense. And then it was just like, oh, wait, he actually isn't an NFL receiver.
All right, let's get back to the winners here. Linebacker Baron Browning of Ohio State. He put up some really good numbers and came up the big board pretty decently.
Yes. So first off, 6'2", 245. Perfect off-ball linebacker size, that do-it-all size. 4'5", 140. But then again, not fake. Doesn't feel fake because he had a 40-inch vertical and then a 10-10 broad jump. Those are elite jumps, explosive numbers. And then 33.5-inch arms and a 6'7", 8'3" cone. Yeah, those are all-encompassing. That's an elite pro day. It's about as elite a pro day as you'll see. It's why it's a better pro day than Micah Parsons. Parsons may have ran a little faster, but from like what you want off-ball linebacker, that is it. I think he moves to the edge. Those are numbers that if you told me that's an edge defender, that's what you want. That's exactly what you want. Length, size, even can play at 245. His most impressive tape comes when he's just rushing OTs one-on-one. I think that's, if I'm drafting Baron Browning, I at least have a plan to get him doing that the majority of the time. Rush the passer. There you have it.
I mean, I do think that. So Baron Browning right now, where does he rank for you among off-ball linebackers?
That's the thing. It's like I honestly see him more as an edge rusher. Off-ball linebackers, not high. Maybe scraping the top 10.
We got to get him on the pod. Talk to him about what teams see him as.
I do think as an edge, I'll take that guy in the 3rd round for sure. I'll take that chance.
We're going to make a push for Baron Browning on the pod, see what NFL teams see him playing at in the NFL. I'm excited about that. All right, back to the losers column here, unfortunately. Paris Ford. This was an early
Touched
loser.
on this one already.
This one's tough. Came in at, 6 foot flat, 197 pounds, and ran a 4.85 40. Stop the pro day. Stop the pro day. Leave. Go. Yeah. Run. 4.85 40 at 197 pounds. I don't even know what happened.
And again, it's not fake. I mean, it's hard to fake the slow end also, but because he had a 28.5-inch vertical and a 9'2" broad jump. I want to go out right now, and I said I was built like Rashad Bateman on the last pod. I am athletic as Paris Ford. I can do those numbers.
You can't run a 4.85.
I can definitely. Oh,
didn't you run a 4.82?
Yeah, it was a 4.8.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And a 28.5-inch vertical is not high. That guy may not be able to dunk.
That's tough.
That's
and
tough.
A 7.65 3-cone.
Yeah.
That's a full second faster than like what Jason Oweh did.
Slower, you mean?
Slower, sorry. That's insane.
My God. Yeah, it's just
does he even get drafted?
I don't know. He might not. Those are just abysmal numbers. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, sadly.
And he opted out of the 2020 season after playing a handful of reps and not playing that well, too.
I was gonna say, he opted out. He did my favorite. You know what? We lost 3 games in a row. I think I'm going to opt out.
Brutal, man. That's brutal. All right, back to the winners here. Milton Williams, defensive tackle, Louisiana Tech. A PFF guy, too. Like, he graded really well in true pass set situations. He was one of the better pass rush win rate guys on the interior. I'm a big fan. I think Mel Kiper Jr. sees him as an edge defender, but we'll see about that. 6'3", 284, a 4.62 40-yard dash, 1.65 10 time at 284. Let me remind you, 38.5-inch vert, 121, a 10 1-inch broad, 34 reps on the bench, 6'8", 3 cone. This guy was cleaning up.
Yes. So again, 4.62. You might not believe it, but when a dude 284 pounds jumps 38.5 inches, that's real. That level of explosiveness is real. Now, to compare, I'm not saying this, but to compare, Aaron Donald comes in 6'1", 285. He ran a 4.69. Now, that was at the combine. Milton Williams, 4.62. Similar range. Aaron Donald did 35 bench press reps. Milton Williams, 34. Aaron Donald, 32-inch vertical. Milton Williams, 38.5. Broad jump for Aaron Donald, 9'8". 10-1 for Milton Williams. Like these numbers, 20-yard shuttle for Donald, 4.39. Milton Williams did a 4.25. And then 6'8", 3 cones, the best ever for a defensive tackle that we've got collated in our database. That was an all-time combine. Pro day, sorry. I wouldn't not be surprised if this guy goes like top 50.
Really?
With those traits like that.
What's the biggest con for him right now? Is it the inconsistency?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the limited amount of good tape. Like towards the end of 2020, that's when he really started turning it on. But the interesting thing about him is he's gained like 40 pounds, a guy who completely remade his body, like just turned into a different player. Like he played on the edge early in his career at Louisiana Tech, got bigger. And so, the arrow is pointed upwards for this guy. And obviously the level of competition didn't play much in the way of good offensive lines, but man, he was dominant by the end of the year. He's a top 75 player on PFF's board right now. Big fan. Right. That level of tools is legitimately rare.
I mean, Aaron Donald levels of rare.
Yeah.
That's where Milton Williams, that's the territory he's in. I mean, I think that's where I want to have the conversation with him. Like, why weren't you dominating? Why weren't you absolutely crushing at Louisiana Tech? Because we've talked about this before. When you have a guy who's an absolute freak of an athlete, the number one question is why wasn't he productive? You asked the same questions about Rashawn Gary a few years ago. It's like, hey, you were in Michigan and Chase Winovich was more productive than you. Why? Was it how they were playing you? Was it off field? Was it just lack of motivation? We need to figure out why it happened so we can avoid that in the NFL. Because if we're going to draft you, we're going to want it 100%. We're going to want production that you could have had at Louisiana Tech.
So Milton Williams goes from a 72.6 overall grade in 2019 to a 90.8 this past year. 89.7 pass rushing grade, 88.4 run defense grade. A different dude altogether. Kind of amazing to watch. I'm very curious. Very interested to see where he goes and then kind of what he looks like the next level.
All right, back to the losers here. This one's been talked about a decent amount. I'm actually going to jump to the next Pittsburgh guy. We should have put these together, but Jalen Twyman also ran at the Pittsburgh Pro Day. 6'1", 301, a 5'4" 40 time. I'll stop there. 5'4" at 301 pounds, a 174 10 time. He still managed, though, at 301 pounds to have a higher vertical than Paris Ford at 32.5 inches. That's insane. 8-second 3 cone?
And the other one's the 8-second 3 cone. Where that was my biggest worry with him is he on tape looked about 275, 280. Noticeably slim on tape, even for a college DT. So he gets the weight up over the year of opting out, makes that an emphasis. I need to get to defense tackle size because you really can't play. You got to be 285 or so if you want to be a 3 tech in the NFL. Even if you're Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald's 285. Everyone talks about how small he is. That's what he had to get to. Got his weight up, lost the athleticism, any semblance of it. Now the 40 bench press reps, great, awesome. That's just he doesn't play with power. Like that wasn't who he was on tape. He won with his quickness, and when you win with quickness and you run a 5'4" and have an 8-second 3 cone. It's a bad sign.
I still don't know. We said this right when it happened. Why the agent let him run that? Both Ford. Why Twyman and Ford both? Yeah, ran.
They had 6 months, a year and a half for Twyman, 6 months for Ford of training for these drills.
Oh yeah, because Twyman was also an opt-out.
Yeah, and that's what you did.
Only benched. He's just absolutely. He was in the gym.
He was that guy that you see with like twigs for legs in the gym, who's just all upper body. Who just fell in love with the bench press.
Dude, you just kept seeing the refs go up, dude. Yeah, I mean, 225, I can do 40. That's incredible. All right, back to the winners here. Sam Cosmi of Texas. Dude, all-star pro day. Came in, almost 6'6". A little under 6'6", 314, 4'8", 440. Faster than Paris Ford at 314 pounds. Over 110, 115 pounds heavier than Paris Ford. 36 reps on the bench, which is very good.
Insane.
Very good.
And 33-inch arms, which is
because people had problems with his strength. I think a lot of that's his lower half.
Anchor,
yeah, his lower half. But still, 36 reps on the bench, 30-inch vert, 117-inch broad, 4.39 short shuttle, 7.35 cone. This was a really, really good pro day for Sam Cobb. I don't think he gets out of the first round.
I don't think so either. This was a more impressive. We talked about last year going in. His name's eluding me. Boise State offensive lineman
Ezra Cleveland.
About how the tape wasn't exceptional, but when you have you put up the level of combine that he did, and the change direction drills, the explosive drills, all that stuff, we think it's going to get you in the conversation. And he looked good year one at guard for the Vikings. Obviously better than whatever else they were fucking trotting out there at guard. But Cosme's tape is at legitimately, on another level from even Ezra Cleveland's, and he tested out.
And he was playing in a bigger conference. Yeah. He saw more top-level competition.
So I do think he ends up going in the first round.
I mean, he's one of the best pass-protecting offensive tackles over the past 2 years. Like, he's been up there with Penei Sewell. He's been up there with Rashawn Slater, with Tristan Wirfs. If you look at on-true pass sets, when you remove RPOs, play action, and screens, he is in the top 5 over the past 2 seasons, 2019 and 2020. That I do think, man, coming back, he's also played a shitload. I think he was on yesterday's episode. We played that interview on yesterday's episode. Dude, he talks about his experience. He talks about, hey, I've played over 3,000 snaps. I haven't missed it down since I started at Texas. And availability, all that stuff. And he talks a little bit about how you stay healthy. It's what you put in your body. It's how often you're stretching, how often you're doing these different things. Cosme, man, I'm a big fan of his game. I don't think if he gets past Kansas City at 31, I would be absolutely floored.
Want to give a shout out. We obviously tried to kick around the positions here in the top 10, but there were a lot of legit offensive line pro days. Shout out to Dylan Radins also, who had 6'5", 304, came with 34-inch arms, then a 9'5" broad jump, that's the 92nd percentile, 4.53 short shuttle, 88th percentile, and then a 7.27 cone. That guy, again, in the building with those change of direction drills and his explosiveness numbers, 32-inch vertical. He put together a nice little pro day. I think he's in the first round mix as well.
Creed Humphrey of Oklahoma had a damn good pro day. Kendrick
I was going to
Green.
touch on him when we get to into your offensive lineman later.
That's on me.
That is on me.
I'm going to jump to now a loser here, an offensive lineman that didn't have the pro day maybe people expected. Jalen Mayfield of Michigan came in at 6'5", 326, a 5.31 40-yard dash, just a 28.5-inch vert. 96-inch broad, that sub 100-inch broad. Hate to see it. 4.91 shuttle, 7.86
sub
cone.
9-foot broad.
Sub 9-foot broad.
Sub 9 foot.
Not what you like to see.
Exactly. And so when you're billed as an athletic project, as we talked about with Gregory Rousseau, when that's your kind of your hype surrounding is what you can do athletically and physically, the tools you bring to the table, and then you test like a guy who's not particularly athletic. And I get that he's on the bigger side for the, I would say, guard position with how the NFL will see him at 6'5", 326 with under 33-inch arms. I think he's going to be a guard at the next level. When that's your sort of claim, you better test out well athletically, or at least like above average. And the only thing he had tested in above the 50th percentile, the only measurable he put out there is his weight. 326. That's the only thing that was above 50th percentile for offensive line.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
Do you think he ultimately gets kicked into guard and falls to day 2?
Oh, yeah. I can't foresee him going day 1 with not only him, but then the rest of the other interior offensive line class and tackle class, how they tested this spring. I can't imagine drafting him day 1.
Back to the winners here. Jamin Davis, Kentucky linebacker. Big fan of what this guy put on. I mean, 6'3", 234, 4.37 40-yard dash, 42-inch vert. These are some money numbers, dude. Ranking inside the 90th percentile for all of those things. That was Jamin Davis said, "Hey, what's up? I'm an athlete too." I think I was talking to someone recently about Jamin Davis. It's like compare him.
Go ahead.
You compare him to Mike Parsons from an athlete perspective, and like there's not key and obvious differences. I think the difference really is that he didn't, in 1 year starting at Kentucky, he just hasn't played as much good football as Micah Parsons has. Jamin Davis, I think, is more of a project than maybe people are letting on to be. But I think he could go at the back end of the first, if not top of day 2. Like Jamin Davis, top 50, top 45 type of player.
Yes, and again, it goes back to that is what NFL teams want. They want speed, explosiveness at the linebacker position. That's what they're going to draft highly because that's your difference makers. That's what those guys have, is they move like cornerbacks. Those are cornerback numbers that he put up. Tied for the highest vertical ever with at the linebacker position. Who had it prior? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Boss Bailey. Champ Bailey's brother. The failed.
I have no idea. I had no idea that.
Oh, come on. That was back in the day. I remember that one.
All name team, too. Boss Bailey.
Boss Bailey is dope as hell.
Champ Bailey had a 46-inch vertical himself. Those are some bloodlines. I want to be a Bailey when I grow up.
I want to be a Bailey.
But Jamin Davis, that is the physical skill set now. He curiously doesn't do the shuttle or the 3-cone. What are you trying to hide, Jamin? We know. We see you. We see you putting up those numbers.
If you don't run, if you run everything but your short shuttle and cone, you're a little concerned about the change of direction drills.
That was Bud Dupree coming out. He's just like.
That was also James Wiggins of Cincinnati, who put on a really explosive day, broad, vert, 40. He's like, well, can't run the cones.
I'm tired now.
Yeah.
When you jump that high, you get tired. But yeah, I think Davis put himself in the first round conversation.
Fair enough.
There you go.
All right, let's get to a loser here. Gregory Rousseau, Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
Came in tall, came in long, and that's about it. No explosiveness, no change of direction. I mean, 4.45 short shuttle, 7.5 3-cone. I mean, Jalen Phillips objectively had a better pro day than Gregory Rousseau. And some people were surprised by that. Jalen Phillips is the better athlete through and through. I mean, he's just a better movement skills than Gregory Rousseau. And honestly,
Rousseau did have big hands, 11-inch hands though. Got to give him that. Those are big
I didn't see
hands.
that. Those are mitts.
Those are Parsons-esque.
Those are. All
JJ
right.
Watt had like 11 1/8 though. If we're going deep in the game, I can't imagine having hands that large.
My God. All right. Gregory Rousseau, big faller also. I think a lot of people are seeing him now back into the first, if not day 2.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes day 2. You're debating between, it's like the Mayfield conversation. You're debating between a lot of guys who are very freaky and unpolished. Give me the freakier one. Give me the guys who are the better athletes at that point.
And you're not going to find too many players more unpolished than Rousseau. I mean, he's had one season, redshirt freshman season at Miami, Florida, and didn't even play like one single position.
One season, one like swim move that he fucking pwned guards with.
Florida State guards too. The Florida State tape is like the one where like, oh man, what is this? And then a lot of the other tape, you're not super excited about it. But now that the movement skills aren't as rare as some of the other projects in this class, and honestly, I don't love even the levels of polish he's at. Like I don't love the experience. It's going to be hard to really say like this is the first round pick we want when there's a ton of other guys in this class that obviously you could probably take ahead of him.
Yeah, and it sucks for him because obviously he could have come back this past year and put some legit stuff on tape, but he opted out for family reasons and didn't get to do that. And now, like if he came back and was the single best pass rusher in the country, I don't think it would matter.
No.
Like if it was hands down, game in, game out, those test
Chase
numbers,
Young
you're
levels.
just like, that's unfortunate, but the tape is what it is. And that frame still does a lot of work. Like when you are that long at his size, it still makes life easier for you. You don't necessarily have to be the most fleet of foot, but at this point, he didn't do that. So I can't see drafting the first round.
Jumping back up to the winners, let's talk Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips. It was, everyone knew. It was like it wasn't really a secret that he was going to test well. But his was more every single drill across the board, almost just like a poor man's OA in every drill where 4.56 40, 36-inch vert, 10.5 broad, 4.13 shuttle, 7.101 cone, just all solid numbers. And that's the profile. Like that's what you want on the edge, a guy who can win in a number of different ways, whether it's his burst, whether it's his ability to change directions, his agility, his ability to bend the edge, that cone. He's got it. And he's got the length at over 33-inch arms. Like very solid all-around profile. And he's, in terms of just like who put the best pass rushing tape this past year, Azeez Ojulari, of like the top-ish guys.
Yeah.
Azeez Ojulari, and then he's second at Phillips. And he's got much better sort of physical
You know who
traits.
I'd put it third on that list? Rashad Weaver.
Yeah.
He put some really good pass rush moves, pass rush wins on his tape this past year.
Yeah.
And if you look at PFF pass rush run rate on those true pass sets, you see Phillips, Weaver, Ojulari up there ranking highly. And I think Phillips, man, not just, he's got more polish than Rousseau does.
At this point, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump now back to the losers. Going to Marvin Wilson of Florida State. Man, former 5-star, big monster. What, almost 6'6", 303 pounds, 5.12 40-yard dash is not going to be good. Nearly a 1.810 time, 1.7810 time. Yikes. 25.5-inch vertical.
Oh.
Yikes. 4.91 short shuttle and a 7.64 3-cone. Like, just not an athlete. Like, I'm sorry. He's not even, above 55th percentile as an athlete. Like, that's just not who he is.
Not even a 9-foot broad jump. Just not good. And that's the thing. He got his weight down to try to test better, too. He played listed at like 319 Florida State, goes 303 at his pro day, and still looking like that. Yeah, he did not do the Derek Brown rise up draft boards that he was hoping by coming back for a senior year. He may fall to day 3 after the tape he put out and the testing he had.
How bad is this defensive tackle class, man?
It's not good, man. Like I said, it reminds me of last year's tight end class where I'll just take one in the 4th round. If you really need one, take one then, because every other guy seemingly is just going to get overvalued, I think.
All right, guy I'm talking to today, Marco Wilson of Florida, had himself a very good pro day.
My God, did he?
Yeah, come in, 5'11 and a half, 191, 4.37 40-yard dash, 43.5-inch vert, 136-inch broad, 4.13 short shuttle, 6.8 3-cone, 6.8 flat, by the way, 6.8 flat 3-cone. Those are really, really good numbers for Marco Wilson.
Legit all-around athleticism, explosive numbers. And you didn't even say the 26 bench reps he did.
Oh, I passed that up.
It's the most ever for a cornerback. And
that's a hoss.
And this guy was starting as a true freshman over C.J. Henderson at Florida. They both came in the same recruiting class. Marco Wilson was the one starting before C.J. Henderson. Now, there are very serious on-field concerns with the way he plays the game. Obviously, the shoe throw this past year. Highlight chief among them. The boneheaded plays are left and right on his tape. He is about as inconsistent as it gets. Whew, those physical tools, man. If you give him a simple assignment, you tell him to play man coverage, I think that you're going to see just let him do that. I think those are the teams that are going to covet this guy, because those are as good as it gets numbers.
Some shortish arms, though, 30.75-inch arms and a 73.5-inch wingspan. A little bit short arms for outside corner, but still, I'm interested to talk to him today. I'm going to bring up some questions. Ask him about the shoe stuff. Ask him about some of this on-field stuff. How are you approaching these questions with NFL teams? Do you think he's a shoe-in for day 2?
Jesus Christ. Well done. I don't think he's a shoe-in. That's how bad the tape is.
Yeah,
sadly.
Fair enough.
But
all right.
He could. It would not surprise me if he goes day 2. Who was the Houston cornerback a couple years ago that the Raiders drafted?
DJ Hayden.
Nope. Other Houston cornerback they drafted.
Johnson. Yeah, Isaiah Johnson.
Where did they draft him in the 3rd?
Yeah.
Then I could see him going in the 3rd.
Fair enough.
Very similar, sort of just like that guy needs to change the way he plays cornerback entirely, but the man is a freak athlete. So,
all right, I'm going to lump some of these losers together here. We got to move a little bit more quickly. DeMonte Coxey of Memphis, Jamian Sherwood, Auburn, the safety, Brevin Jordan, tight end, Miami, Florida, and then you have running back Larry Roundtree of Missouri. All 4 listed
we're
as
not
losers.
kidding about lumping those all together. Yeah, so Coxey, 4.77, one of the slowest 40s you'll see. 30.5-inch vertical.
At 198 pounds.
At 198 pounds. That's just... And only 4 bench reps, too. Slow, not strong, and unexplosive.
I can do 4 bench reps.
He can do 4 bench. Mike can do 4
225?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think I could do, in my heyday, I could do like 8.
That's just... I don't see how he gets drafted.
With like 16-inch arms.
What is your arm like?
I bet you it's like 25. There's no way.
There's no way. You're probably like 27, 28. Like even like the Rondale Moores of the world are like 28 inches.
Hand size is like 12 and a half.
To all my female listeners out there. But Jamian Sherwood, he was a guy who's, again, billed as like you watch his tape and he is explosive. He comes downhill. This calling card is the way he lights up ball carriers, lights up blocks, plays a physical game. And then a 4.75 40. He is on the big end for a safety, the Auburn safety, 216 pounds. But man, thought he'd be better. He's got the body to play like safety. He might just have to switch to linebacker, though, after that. He did have a good vertical, though, 36-inch vertical, good broad jump. I will be curious to see if If that's where I bet he ends up.
Got to be a full-time box player.
Yeah, I bet he ends up at linebacker in the NFL. He's a guy who probably could make that switch. Brevin Jordan, got a guy who's billed as the athletic project tight end in this class. Now he's another guy who obviously tried to get his weight up. The Miami tight end came in at 247 pounds. Plays on his tape looks about like 235, 240. Did not look 247 pounds. So that was obviously an emphasis for him, but he comes in with a 4.69 40, 31-inch vertical, under 10-foot broad jump. That's not an athletic tight end. That is not a project tight end. That is not doing anything for you at the NFL level, to be honest. And then Larry Roundtree. Honestly, I wasn't high on him. I was surprised that a lot of people were high on him coming in, just having watched his tape. If you watch him try to square up a linebacker in the hole, gets his ass kicked. And at 211 pounds, I'm like, holy shit, like you got to have a little bit more than that to play in the NFL. And the reason why is, well, because he runs a 4.7 and has a 36-inch vertical and only a 9-foot broad jump. Guy's just not explosive.
Not 36, 30 flat.
30 flat, 30-inch vertical, and then a 9-foot broad jump. That is not an explosive running back, sadly. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get drafted either.
Hate to see it. All right, last couple names here for the winners. You have Elijah Moore of Ole Miss, a guy that's risen up draft boards a ton.
My God.
Yeah, he is, 178 pounds, 5'9"-ish.
Yeah.
5'9"-ish, 178 pounds, 17 bench reps, 36-inch vert, 10-foot broad, and a 4-second flat short shuttle, baby. 6.66 3-cone. The
Devil's 3-cone.
The Devil's 3-cone. You love to see that.
The one I love is the 17 bench press reps. So he doesn't have super short arms, over 30 inches, despite only being 5'9". And to do 17 bench reps, that's a well-built, that's like a mini A.J. Brown right there. That's what you're working with Elijah Moore. Go get yourself a mini A.J. Brown. NFL. I think you can play on the outside.
Play him yeah.
I think you play on the outside at that size with that, like how strong he is with those numbers. I think he can be an outside wide receiver in the NFL, and that's.
Dude, I've said this for how many podcasts have I said this? If the Green Bay Packers pass on Elijah Moore at 29, and he's there, I just don't get it. It's a bit. They're like, oh yeah, we're not drafting first-round receivers. We don't do it. It's like Elijah Moore at 29. I'm in. I'm all in. I think he complements Devontae Adams so well. He's very good. I'm in. I'm in on Elijah Moore at 29. I don't think he should get past there. If he falls to day 2, it's a freaking farce. It's a farce. Farcical. All right. Two more winners here. Kendrick Green of Illinois, guy we've talked about a ton on this podcast, probably more than any other draft podcast. Kendrick Green's our guy. And then Elijah Mitchell, running back of Louisiana.
Yeah. Kendrick Green put up show numbers.
Stupid numbers.
36-inch vertical. 9'11" broad jump. Farthest ever for an interior offensive lineman. 25 bench press reps, a 4.85 40. That guy can explode off the line of scrimmage. Now, doesn't have the greatest length combination. He's probably a center, but this guy is your athletic zone center to a T that you want. This is one of the centers you want in this draft class. Round 3, chalk it up. Then Elijah Mitchell. Did you say that one?
Yeah.
Elijah Mitchell, Louisiana running back. Not a lot of great testing from this running back class. I don't think it's a great super deep class. After those top 3 guys, you got a few names that I'd intersperse in there.
Michael Carter, Trey Sermon, Khalil Herbert. They're like fine. Elijah Mitchell's like, if you're taking a late round project, this is the one you want because I still like Javian Hawkins. I like the Iowa kid too. There's
Hawkins
some juice
didn't
there.
even test that well actually. You're like a 4.46.
Did he really?
But, yeah. Elijah Mitchell, 4.38, 37.5-inch vertical, 10'8" broad jump, sub 7 3-cone, 17 bench reps. That's the profile of athleticism that can work in the NFL 11. He actually played well at Louisiana. Grades over 80 every single year as a starter, 3 years as a starter. Split time with Trey Regas there, who's probably going to get drafted also. You feel good about a guy who breaks tackles at that level and plays well when they are a plus athlete and that working in the NFL. When they're not a plus athlete, that's when you get worried. So Elijah Mitchell, job well done.
Love to see it. That is the full list of Pro Day winners and losers. You can check out that full article on PFF.com from Mike Renner. Awesome stuff. I'm excited to stop looking every single day for updated Pro Day numbers. I'm excited that we all have them in the books. Normally we have those at the Combine, but here we are. All right, let's go ahead and now jump to our interviews here. We have interviews with
Pat Freiermuth.
Pat Freiermuth of Penn State and Josh Palmer, Tennessee. I love the Josh Palmer interview. Very good one. Make sure to tune in right now. Now joining 2-4 Drafts is former Penn State tight end Pat Freiermuth, making some time for us here today after his Penn State Pro Day. Pat, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Just, out here in Cincinnati, living the freaking dream here. Weather isn't that great. It was 70 yesterday. Now it's 50. That's a Cincinnati weather for you, man. Like it's just up and down. I'm originally from California, so I guess I got things aren't as good here. But I want to talk more about Penn State Pro Day. Obviously, weren't able to test in any of the drills. You're still recovering from a shoulder injury. Talk to me about how that rehab is going and any of the feedback that you received at your Pro Day or any of the experience that you received at your Pro Day. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So obviously, the show is doing great. I'm probably going to be cleared, hopefully, and by the end of the week or by the end of next week for contact and full go. I feel great. Basically my whole mobility's back and everything like that. So feels like a good shoulder again. And, everything's good on that end. And, Pro Day, the feedback that I got was just more that, I proved what I needed to prove, especially in the route games and catching the ball. I mean, I think the biggest misconception out there is that, I'm a one-speed route runner. And I think that's kind of completely false. I think, I can, kind of start and stop pretty well. And I showed that in Pro Day. And I think, I can, my second level releases are, very crisp and sharp and sudden. So, I kind of showed that and I showed teams what I was able to do that way. So I'm very happy with my performance at Pro Day.
I know you're working closely with the Pittsburgh Steelers tight ends coach. How'd that go for you?
It was awesome. Yeah. We talked like 2 days before that and a couple of weeks prior to that a couple of times. So, they're really interested and they're really awesome staff. And, I talked to the GM a couple of times, at Pro Day and before as well. Same with the head coach. So, they're awesome guys and, definitely an awesome organization.
I've seen some Heath Miller comps out there in addition to baby Rob Gronkowski. So you got to love working with the Steelers group here. So we talked a little bit before we started recording about, how exactly you're going to approach putting some testing or measurables out there after your rehab. What's the plan right now in terms of maybe putting some numbers out there for teams?
Yeah, so the plan is just to go, in the next couple of weeks after I get cleared to, show, go hit the blocking sled and go hit some, some sleds, just kind of show, my footwork and my explosion off the line, blocking wise and show teams that, even though I wasn't able to do that, I was still working on my footwork in the run game and pass pro and stuff like that. So, just continue to do that. And then I'll probably put together some 5-10-5s and broad jump and stuff like that, just to show teams and stuff like what my time and all that. But I haven't been really training for the 40 just because my shoulders it was hard to open up with and kind of let it loose for a little bit there. So we'll see what happens. I'm still gonna work for it, like training for it, but I don't know if it's gonna get done or not.
Totally. That's completely fair. Like we said this again, but like the shoulder injury, it's very difficult to train any part of your body with a shoulder injury. That's for sure. I want to bring up more, you talk about hitting the blocking sled. Something that PFF sees as a really big strength in your game is that as the NFL moves more and more towards guys that are 230, 225 pounds at tight end playing in the slot and outside, you are kind of one of those two-dimensional tight ends that can actually block and has a ton of success as a blocker. Do you feel like that's a big strength for your game or a key separator for you in this class?
Oh, for sure. And I especially think, obviously I have versatility to play that Y position, the true Y, like on the line and in the line, stuff like that. But, most teams have seen me as their F tight end. They move around and catch balls and stuff. But, they obviously are saying, in those 12 personnel sets, they can keep me in and, either move me to the Y or stick with me at the F and, accomplish those things that they want to accomplish in the run game. So, I think, it's benefited me, greatly being, asked to do that at Penn State, block really hard and kind of show what I can do, in the blocking game and the run game at Penn State. So I think teams feel very confident. I'm very confident myself. I'm down at 250 now and I'm probably going to play that, weight, in my rookie season. So, I'm very confident I'm going to be able to block at 250 and, kind of move around stuff. So I feel really great right now. And, definitely the film and everything, I've shown that, I'm a two-dimensional tight end.
And what's wild to me is that when you are, you obviously have a ton of success blocking. You can kind of see that on the film, but I feel like you have that same approach with the ball in your hands. You talk about yak types, guys that can make people miss. You run through guys. It's similar to what George Kittle and his tight end coach John Embry tells him in terms of just run through guys. You're bigger, you're faster, all those things. I think you see that on your tape as well. And I think that's where the Gronkowski comps kind of come into play as well. What's your mentality when you catch the football? How do you approach yards after the catch at the tight end position?
Yeah. So, obviously I know my body and I know who I am. I'm not going to be one of those guys who, hurdles a guy or, kind of, juke some guy out, but, I'm going to use my strengths, my ability. I'm going to catch the ball. I'm going to run hard and go out there and kind of try and run someone over or give them a mean stiff arm. So that's kind of the player I am. I'm not going to, like I said, try and hurdle someone. That's not me. If someone goes low on me, I'm going to try and go lower and lower my shoulder and run over them. So I think I have clips doing that. So I just try and be as ferocious if I can, kind of take that run block mentality into, yards after the catch. So, I definitely kind of use that to my advantage, being more physical.
Some guys that were able to test at Penn State's Pro Day, I'm sure you saw a ton in practice.
Yep.
Jason Owe, defensive end, Micah Parsons, linebacker. And even if you go, there's more talent there too, like Tira Gross-Matos, Shaka Toney. Like, you have seen a lot of freaks, athletic freaks on the defense there at Penn State. Give me some stories from practice, man. You are going against Parsons, Tira Gross-Matos, Shaka Toney, Jason Owe all the time. I need some stories.
Yeah. One thing that really sticks out with me with Micah was, we just put in outside zone this past season. So, I was getting used to it, and, Micah is really, really good at like coming up square and then all of a sudden reducing his service area. So, trying to block him in outside zone was a pain in the ass just because, hey, he's trying to set the edge and you think you have him, you can drive and block, but all of a sudden he, reduces his service area, gets inside of you and gets contained from inside. So, blocking Micah is really hard, and it's definitely an issue. Same with Jason. I mean, me and Jason had battles this year in camp and practice just because, we're always going after each other. And, I was always tell Jason he knew what our plays were. So when he knew when that backside C gap was coming, when I was trying to block that. So he kind of knew. So we would have some battles and he'd try and split the gap and stuff like that. So, those guys are just really smart and great football players. Same with Shaka and Gee. I think they made me better, every single day going against those DNs and those freak linebackers that we recruit at Penn State. So, it's obviously going to help me in the long run.
Have to, man. I was talking to Brevin Jordan of Miami, and he was talking about Gregory Rousseau and Jalen Phillips, these guys that are just absolute dogs in practice. Going back to you a little bit, I want to talk about, what you do in a given game week in practice and on film to kind of prepare for an opponent. What do you look for on film when you're preparing for a certain opponent in a given game week?
Yeah, that's what I think makes me special. I think, I try and be the most prepared guy on the field, at all times, even in practice and in games. So, I take my film study really serious. So, on Mondays and throughout the week, Monday's my day where I just go in and watch film the whole day. So, I go to class early and then I try and get done early in the morning and I go watch film the rest of the day. So, I watch those formation cutups that the coaches make for us. And I just kind of see, what teams do and how they roll coverages and, who they're going to match them with and how they play man coverage and their favorite blitz in the front. So I just see the whole picture of it. And I try and pick up on tendencies because at Penn State, we ran a lot of option routes and decide routes and kind of choice routes for the tight end. So just kind of see how they, roll from one high to two high or two high to one high, just kind of seeing all that rotation to help me, benefit me on my routes. So, I take film study and all that very serious.
And how has that kind of film study or preparation changed in the offseason? I'm sure with the shoulder injury, you've had a lot of opportunity to turn on the film. Were you watching film on yourself, maybe some NFL guys? What film were you watching this offseason?
Yeah, I was definitely watching film on myself to see, when teams ask me what I think I'm good at and what I can prove in, go back and actually show them what I mean by, what I said. So, going back and watching my own film and obviously, watching NFL greats like Gronk and Kittle and Kelsey. And I've been watching Tyler Eifert a little bit because I've been comped to him a little bit by NFL teams, what they see and stuff. So, just kind of, I'm watching them and just seeing how, take what they do so well and incorporate it in my game.
Yeah, Tyler Eifert's another good name to kind of tie to your, and stuff. Are there any other players that in the NFL that you feel like you pattern your game after?
Yeah, I think Hunter Henry is a good one to, pattern my game after just because, he's very physical in the run game and he also, he makes plays in the pass game. I would say, our athleticism is very similar. He's not going to try and hurdle a guy or, kind of, juke someone out. And I feel like we're the kind of same, player in that aspect. So, I think, just watch the film on him.
Last question for you, and I really appreciate the time. I like to ask prospects kind of what their motivation or their why is as they kind of continue to make, all the sacrifices necessary to play football, both at the collegiate level and then pursuing a career in the NFL. What would you say your motivation or your why is right now?
Yeah, my why and my motivation is just to be, just one of the best tight ends to ever, play the game of football. I think, that's always been a goal of mine is to, always be the best at something that I've been doing. So, always have that chip on my shoulder where, I'm going to go out and act like I'm an under-recruited guy or an undervalued guy and kind of disrespected, and then take that mentality and just go into practice and work like I'm, not the starting tight end, or, I'm last on the depth chart. I always take that mentality in every single practice because, I feel like me, myself, that's what makes me better. And that's what makes the team better, is when I'm at my best, is when I have that chip on my shoulder. So just try and find all the motivation I can and push myself to become one of those best tight ends that, ever play the game of football.
Fantastic stuff, man. Really appreciate the time, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Now joining 2-for-1 Drafts is former Tennessee wide receiver Josh Palmer, also a PFF favorite, man. My co-host Mike Renner doesn't do the interviews with me, but a big fan of your game. Sees you as one of the better receivers that not enough people are talking about. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Let's go back and look at your pro day just a little bit. I think it was a few days ago, and weighing in 6'1", 210, 4.51 40-yard dash, 4.25 short shuttle, 6.98, that sub-7 3-cone everyone loves to see. How do you feel like you did, and what was some of the feedback you had from teams at your pro day?
I felt like I did good. I hit all the marks that I wanted to hit when I went there, all my goals that I had. I just went in there with the mindset just to let my training speak for itself. I feel Tony and Matt back at XPE did a great job helping me prepare for everything. Anquan Bolden, my receiver coach, did a great job helping me, and it was just something that I took very serious, and I was just trying to perform as best as I could. And I got good feedback from the coaches, really just saying I did a good job. I was trying to get my official 40 the whole time, and they were just saying, don't worry about it. You ran fast enough. Like whatever we saw. So I was just really so happy.
The pro day times, man, it's wild, dude. Twitter is just losing their mind at every single 40 time they see, man.
Yeah,
the official times is tough to find. But I'm interested to know, because you were also at the Senior Bowl down there in Mobile, so you've had more opportunities to talk with coaches, talk with scouts, and talk with teams probably than some of the other prospects in this draft class. What have been some common themes in terms of feedback that you've gotten from teams on your game, or maybe where they want to play you in the NFL, how they view you as a prospect? I'd be interested to know some of the common things that you're hearing from teams.
A lot of them really just saying how I could play inside and out, which is something I try to pride myself on. My wide receiver coach at Tennessee, T. Martin, would tell us that X's and Z's and F's don't get drafted. Wide receivers get drafted.
Nice.
So just knowing the position, the ins and outs of the position, just knowing everything about it.
Yeah, I think that's great, man. Versatility is massive in today's NFL. You see some of the best receivers in the NFL: Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams. They're working in and out of the slot all day long. I think you saw Michael Thomas a few years ago. More than 50% of his reps were in the slot. And I think it's offensive coordinators. Yeah, I mean, offensive coordinators are just looking for, how do I put my best receiver in the best position to win? And I think getting those guys in the slot definitely makes sense. I want to go back to a specific matchup, man. This is one of my favorite tapes to watch is you versus Patrick Surtain this past year. I think you were one of the only receivers, in my opinion, to beat him vertically. I mean, Patrick Surtain has long speed. He has the length. He has the physicality. One of the best cornerbacks in this draft, one of the best cornerbacks in the country. And you were still able to beat him down the football field vertically. Talk to me specifically about that matchup, how that went for you, and your opinion on Surtain's game and just what went into that matchup.
Well, just going into the matchup, I just attacked it like how I attack any other game, any other DB I'm going against. Watch their film, watch their techniques, look at things I can attack. I learned my freshman year from my first wide receiver coach, Kevin Beard. He would tell us that to a certain extent, all DBs play the same, and it's just a different jersey that's in front of you. So you just have to try and find those similarities and how you can beat those similarities. It's always, and I try to look at things that, what can I do in order to win? If I ever lost, it was like, what didn't I do to help me win? Things of that nature. But Pat's a great corner. He's long and he's fast, and he can play the ball well in the air, which I don't know if a lot of people noticed that, but he can play the ball very well. He had a nice PBU where he reached with his opposite hand that they don't even teach DBs to break up the balls with.
It's insane, dude.
And there would be some like a ball's in the air, and I have the ball in my hand, and it just pokes out, and I said, "There's no way he got to the ball." But yeah, he's a great corner. It was a great matchup between us.
I mean, he's got that former NFL player's son ball skills, where he's been playing with a football since he was 5 years old. He told me, I'm interested in your perspective. Let's get the real answer here. He told me he doesn't talk a lot of trash. Is that true?
No, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure. Yeah. Some of these corners, I don't talk trash. And then you hear receivers no, that guy talks the entire game.
No, it was a pretty quiet game between us because I don't talk trash neither. So
Mm-hmm. Who are some corners in the SEC that do talk trash? I want to find the dogs out there. Who are the guys that are barking all game long?
JC Horn definitely does talk trash.
That's good to know.
He definitely talks trash. Other ones really don't really talk. And Israel really talks trash too. I train with him at XP.
Nice.
But not a lot of guys talk trash. I definitely don't talk trash, and Pat doesn't. So that was a pretty quiet game. It was just us two guys focusing on how to beat each other.
Yeah, talk about length, man. Israel Mukuamu, dude, that guy's long and tall. He's got a ton of length, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion on that part of the game, though? When I talk to wide receivers and corners, I talk to tackles and pass rushers, where you see so many one-on-ones. Those positions specifically see a ton of one-on-ones with the same player consistently, to where there becomes or develops this mental side of the game where talking trash or finding your little edges can help with that. So you obviously said you don't talk trash, but what's your opinion on that overall and that aspect of the game?
Like trash talking?
Yeah.
I feel like it works if you're able to get into your opponent's head.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't, then I just feel like, here's how I see it. Some guys talk trash, so it forces them to play better.
Yeah.
Or they talk trash to try and get in somebody else's head. But if they can't get in the other person's head, then it's just what it is. You're just gonna have to just keep talking trash because it doesn't get to some people.
It's very true. I mean, I talk trash more than I wish I did in playing just random drinking games on the weekend, but let's not get into that. You mentioned some cool things about, how you prepare for each each cornerback and how you prepare for each game. Talk to me more about what goes into a given game week and what you're looking for on film when you're preparing for a certain defensive back or a certain defense.
First thing I watch is how their stance, really, if it's themselves or the defense that makes them have a certain shade. Some DBs say shade outside because they don't want to get beat deep. Some DBs shade inside. Some DBs they like to shuffle out and keep playing your upfield shoulder. Some guys don't. Some guys have heavy feet and don't move. Some guys don't shoot with their hands. Some guys take that first inside step. Some guys step with their outside foot. So it's just those little things that you have to have counters for that you see, which you have to know you can take advantage of. So that's really what I watch on film, just trying to look at every single thing from the DBs. And I'll even talk to the DBs on my team and ask them how to beat, because they also play the same techniques, right, to a certain extent. So that's how I try to attack everything. And then I do watch I do watch a different NFL receiver every week, just to see what he does in his games and how I can implement it into my game.
Oh, wow. I actually haven't heard that, man. Who are some of your favorites to watch?
Julio and Devontae.
Yeah,
that's what I watch. If I can't find a receiver I want to watch, those are my go-tos. But I usually try to find one new receiver every week that I watch.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. I think that's going to help you out a ton in terms of just seeing how different guys win. And I mean, look at PFF's. You look at PFF's draft guide. One of the strengths that we have for you is that you win in multiple ways. You're not just a pure burner. You don't win specifically just on the outside or the inside. You can win with different releases. You can win against off coverage. The versatility in being able to win at the wide receiver position, I think, is underrated when teams are looking for just pure speed guys or pure yak guys and that type of stuff. So I definitely think that is something that we see as strength for you. Do you feel like that versatility in how to win and that versatility in alignment is kind of what separates you in this class?
Yeah, I feel so. It's just really something that I take a lot of pride in, and I work extremely hard in order to do it. So that's just something that I will continue to keep growing on and learning from veterans in the league.
Are there any NFL players, you say you watch a different receiver every single week, are there any players in the NFL that you feel like from an athleticism and size standpoint kind of match what you can do and you kind of try to pattern your game after?
I'm not sure. I don't really know yet in terms of who I try to who was built like me and stuff like that. But I definitely do try to take things from other Keenan Allen, Julio, Devontae, Stephon, Antonio Brown. It's just things that I look for. Like when I need to improve on something, I find the best receiver who could do it in the league and try to learn from what they do.
Yeah. A little bit of a tangent here, but I was looking into your background, and I think it says in your Tennessee bio, according to Tennessee's official athletic site, both of your parents are of Jamaican descent. You were born in Ontario, Canada, and you grew up playing basketball. You grew up playing basketball and didn't really get serious about football until 9th grade. Let's start here. What position were you playing in basketball, and describe your game? Were you a dunker? Were you a slasher, three-way, 3-and-D type of guy? I need to know where you're at on the court. 2, what got you into football, and when did you really feel like, okay, football is the path I'm going to take?
So to answer the second question, I played 3 sports growing up. I played soccer, basketball, and football. all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really just juggling sports, sacrificing some sports to play the other sport in that season. And when I finally got to my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year of high school, that's when I was leaning more towards football because I always knew football came more natural.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with basketball, it started to click, but it started to click too late for that's when I was finally deciding that football was going to be my sport. So that's when I retired basketball. And the positions I played, I played the guard. Just played the guards. When I was younger, obviously I was a little taller than most. Until those guys I started to play with, started to tower over me quickly. So I just played the guard back in my high school when I was playing that, but I didn't play at St. Thomas Aquinas when I transferred.
Gotcha. You have any opportunities at Tennessee to get some hoops going with the team?
No, I didn't. I was invited one time to play with them at the T-Rec when Admiral was there.
Mm-hmm.
Admiral Schofield is Kyle Alexander.
Yeah.
Played at Tennessee. He's from Toronto, so they would just tell me to come to the T-Rec, but I never really had time to because we got practice and stuff. Yeah.
Would have loved to seen that, my friend. I'm sure you're pretty good at soccer as well. Playing soccer growing up, that helps with your feet a ton. That's awesome to hear, man.
I was a goalkeeper.
Oh, really? You know who's also a goalkeeper? Mike Renner, my podcast co-host, was a goalkeeper. He says he was the best goalkeeper there was. Nah, not buying it, buddy. Ease up. That guy sucked. He didn't even play football in high school. Either way.
I actually had a chance to I got invited to move to Europe when I was younger.
Oh, really?
But I didn't really like the sport that much, so I didn't really want to do all that.
Dude, goalkeeper, I mean, that's got to be a tough gig. You're just not involved enough. I feel like I would struggle. I want to be like more involved.
Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I ended up not liking it because I was always on like good teams, and because I was a good goalkeeper, the ball really came on my side of the field, and if it did, it was just an easy defense, and then I would just stand in the net and just have mosquitoes attack me.
That's just the life of a good goalkeeper, I guess, man. And that's just not what I want to live. Really appreciate you diving into that, man. I'd love to hear, to finish the interview. And I ask a lot of prospects. This is kind of, what is your motivation to continue to play football at this level? Obviously, make the sacrifices necessary to play college football, to pursue an NFL career. What is your motivation or your why to kind of continue to play this game at such a high level?
Well, two reasons. I really developed this self-motivation where I just try to compete with myself. So that just keeps me motivated in itself. Like if I don't feel like going to shoot jugs, I've learned that when you don't feel like doing something, it's the best time to do it. And then I just always compete with my conscience. Like, yeah, my conscience, I don't know. I don't know. I just really compete with myself and be like, if I'm not catching the jug, someone is. Mm-hmm. And then really just my cousin, the oldest cousin in the family was he moved down. He did the exact same thing, or I did the exact same thing as him, where I moved down to Fort Lauderdale to live with my aunt and uncle. He lived with the same aunt and uncle. He went to a different school for basketball. I went to a different school for football. He was getting offers and stuff. And then one day he woke up and there was like no circulation going to his leg.
Oh, shit.
So it ruined his basketball career. And the years later down the road, I'm put in the same exact position, but for football. So that's why I started to take that personally. And it almost felt like I was there to finish what he couldn't.
Man, that's awesome to hear, man. Two really, really good reasons to be, intrinsically motivated to do something that is so hard, that only less than 0.5% of the people in the world can do. So that's awesome, man. Really appreciate you diving into that. And I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of 2-for-1 Drafts. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, listen, download, subscribe again, do everything, comment, do everything you can to this podcast, because the more you support us, send me a DM if you want to. Anything you'd like to do, please do it. Support the podcast, support 2-for-1 Drafts. Until next time, Austin Gayle, Mike Renner, producer Mike Quinn, producer David Sofaro, 2-for-1 Drafts.